140 years, PIANC has been bringing those elements together. Founded in 1885, PIANC is the world's leading global organization dedicated to waterborne transport infrastructure. A unique international network of professionals and partners, engineers, planners, academics, policymakers, port authorities from both the public and private sector, united by one goal: to design, develop and maintain safe, efficient and sustainable waterways, ports and coastal infrastructure worldwide. At the heart of PIANC lies knowledge. Through its international commissions and working groups, PIANC develops high-quality, state-of-the-art technical guidance on the most pressing challenges in our field. From climate resilience and environmental integration to smart navigation, ports and inland waterways. Always practical, always science-based, always globally relevant, and freely accessible to all PIANC members. But PIANC is more than reports and guidelines. It is a living network, connecting expertise across borders through conferences, seminars, workshops, and congresses. Members meet, exchange ideas, and shape best practices together. And through its strong young professionals community, PIANC actively invests in the future. Joining PIANC means being part of something bigger, a voice, expert collaboration, cutting-edge knowledge, and real impact on climate, sustainability, and economic resilience. Whether you are an individual professional, a company, a public authority, or a young talent, PIANC is your platform. For over a century, PIANC has been connecting water by connecting people. Be part of the global network shaping the future of waterborne transport infrastructure. Join PIANC. Water connects our world. It carries goods, people, energy, and opportunity. From rivers to ports, from coastlines to canals, waterborne infrastructure is the backbone of global trade, mobility, and sustainable development. But building and maintaining it requires knowledge, collaboration, and vision. For more than 140 years, PIANC has been bringing those elements together. Founded in 1885, PIANC is the world's leading global organization dedicated to waterborne transport infrastructure. A unique international network of professionals and partners, engineers, planners, academics, policymakers, port authorities from both the public and private sector, united by one goal: to design, develop and maintain safe, efficient and sustainable waterways, ports and coastal infrastructure worldwide. At the heart of PIANC lies knowledge. Through its international commissions and working groups, PIANC develops high-quality, state-of-the-art technical guidance on the most pressing challenges in our field. From climate resilience and environmental integration to smart navigation, ports and inland waterways. Always practical, always science-based, always globally relevant, and freely accessible to all PIANC members. But PIANC is more than reports and guidelines. It is a living network, connecting expertise across borders through conferences, seminars, workshops, and congresses. Members meet, exchange ideas, and shape best practices together. and through its strong young professionals community. PIANC actively invests in the future. Joining PIANC means being part of something bigger, a voice, expert collaboration, cutting-edge knowledge, and real impact on climate, sustainability, and economic resilience. Whether you are an individual professional, a company, a public authority, or a young talent, PIANC is your platform. For over a century, PIANC has been connecting water by connecting people. Be part of the global network, shaping the future of waterborne transport infrastructure. Join PIANC.
Hey, good afternoon, colleagues. Assalamu alaikum. Good day. Molweni, goeienaand, mahaha, bonsoir, mangadif, baunote to all our attendees. A massive welcome to all of you from across Africa and from across the world. We are thrilled to have you here today with us to go through today's topic and presentation. My name is Tokir Ahmed, and you are tuned into the PIANC Africa webinar series, your essential source for expertise in global waterborne transport with a unique African blend. PIANC Africa is a collaboration of various PIANC members from across Africa and PIANC COCOM, looking to grow PIANC membership in Africa and grow the African voice within PIANC. We encourage the various African countries to take up membership and join PIANC and the PIANC Africa Collective. So we will then obviously drop a few notes in the chat on how you can connect. And there's a little slide that I'll put up towards the end just to give you additional details. We thank you for making time to join today's webinar. Number 5, so it is still quite young, and we are looking to grow and continue this in years to come. So thank you to yourselves as the hardcore diehard fans. And then please do encourage your colleagues to do connect when we do share these invites. We want to grow PIANC in Africa, so we do encourage you to share widely within your organizations, not only your own in your organization, even within your professional field, colleagues across the continent. We want everyone to join and learn from these sessions. For those who are new, and we will always tend to get new, and just as a reminder, the purpose and structure of these webinars that we host. So if you are joining for the first time, the core purpose, again, is to stimulate robust global debate just around port and coastal and inland water engineering, innovation and smart technologies, obviously global engagement and collaboration across the field of waterborne transport. And like I said, to create a unique African voice. So it's not only limited just to professionals. We encourage, everyone to join. Students, young students, we do offer free membership for students. So young students, professionals from other fields who have a keen interest in port, coastal, and waterway, engineering. So we also want to showcase what is it that we do, within this field. So not only to keep it to ourselves, so just call in your electrical engineers, your mechanical engineers, whoever may have a keen interest. Or not only that, you also find also as we work with the waterways and your ports, mechanical engineers and electrical engineers play a part as well. So they also need to understand the unique dynamic of working with water. So we encourage you to invite as many people as you can. So yeah, like I said, whether you're a student or retiree, we want you to join. Um, we want to make this a learning environment. So what we do is that we encourage your active participation. So after the main presentation, so the typical format is a presentation followed by Q&A and panel discussion. So I have a little panel that I normally invite. I've got questions that I will ask the presenter plus the panel members. So it's at that junction where we encourage you to put up your hand, ask your questions. There is a chat box. You can drop your comments in the chat box as well. Your mics are currently muted, but when the time comes, I will obviously also open your mic. so that you can come through with your comments and question. Again, it's a learning environment. We encourage you to ask your questions so that we can all learn collectively. And again, any question goes, any curiosity you might have, ask your question, and then we'll then, ask the presenter, or we'll get an answer for you if we can't cover it today. Again, yeah, so what we're also doing is that if anyone misses these webinars, they are being recorded. So this one is being recorded. Our previous ones are recorded, so they are available on YouTube. I will also again drop a link in the chat to our YouTube page. Please do, like and subscribe. So if you are watching this, on YouTube, again, hit the bell icon, like, subscribe, so that you can get, notified whenever new videos are dropped. Again, we want to grow this channel. If you are not yet a PIANC member, again, we strongly encourage you to, join the institution, especially the professionals out there. So if you look at now the working group report we'll be going through today, besides that, the ones we covered in the past and others we'll cover in the future, all these different working group reports are freely available to PIANC members. You get access to the whole range of documents. So again, there is value in being a member. Not only that, whenever there's a call for working groups in the future, then we look at to you as the expertise from the different countries to join the working groups and add your knowledge to the greater collective as well. So again, quite a unique, organization. So we do encourage you to become members. And I will drop a link. And like I said, also I'll show something towards the end. We also have a PIANC WhatsApp group, PIANC Africa WhatsApp group. So I'll also then drop that link in the chat. So we've got a nice little robust group. Again, if you have any comments, questions that we don't cover here today, the group is there. You're more than welcome to raise that with the group. We will, if the speakers are not in the group already, we'll invite them into the group so that they can give you direct feedback. Again, just to encourage that, that active, engagement and participation. So beyond just today's webinar, that is another avenue where you can try and, engage us further. So looking at, today's topic, it's not only thought-provoking, but, it's future defining for African ports. And especially where we've got uncertainty and constrained capitals. So when you look at now multi-purpose terminals, it offers quite a unique opportunity for ports to get involved in the global trade. So looking at the PIANC Group Working Report 213, it's a newly issued document, design guidelines for marine multi-purpose terminals. It provides updated guidance on terminals, how to design terminals, how to handle a broad mix of cargoes, and vessel types, and how to remain adaptable over the life cycle of the terminal. So it moves away from a single purpose rigid terminal decisions or dimensions. So typically you'd have just a container terminal or just a bulk ore terminal. So multi-purpose takes all of this into account, and quite unique, especially for young ports, growing ports or small countries. You've got very wide range of flexibility that comes with that, and also under uncertain conditions, especially when you're still quite new. You want to develop in a unique way that's you're not locked in to long-term concessions or just one type of market. You want that flexibility. So that's one unique aspect of multi-purpose terminals. So yeah, so it's quite a unique piece of infrastructure. And then to take us through that, to talk about the whole safety, security, the environmental considerations, everything that comes together with that. We have our esteemed guest today, André, who will be taking us through this. So he was quite involved in working group 213. So let me ask André to come forward and just introduce yourself. So André, if you can just put up your camera and just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
So good afternoon, all. So my name is André Merrien. I'm a French port engineer, and I'm currently active with the World Bank as a transport consultant. And I was involved in this working group, which started almost 6 years ago now, and the report was completed in October last year. So should I start right now?
Yes, no, you can.
Presenting
Yeah.
So I'll try
Please do.
to
Please do.
try to
If you
share
can
my.
just share from your side, and then if you want, you can put your camera off as well, just so we can save some bandwidth. So I'll just do the same on my side. Okay.
Can you just
if
let me know if can you see my screen?
yes. Okay. No, perfect. It's in presentation mode. Please continue, Andre. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is just a short presentation of the report. The report contains a lot of information and guidance, almost all what is needed to design a multipurpose terminal. But today, that will last about half an hour, and we will focus more on what is specific to multipurpose terminals. So this is the overview of the contents of the report, and a picture of the cover page, which is a nice multipurpose port in Fiji, so far away from our continent, Lutoka port, which accommodate, you can see, containers, dry bulk, liquid bulk, and also cruise. So our terms of reference, which were established in 2020, were pointing a certain lack of documentation about planning, design, and management of multipurpose terminals. Actually, there was UNCTAD 1991 guideline about multipurpose terminal, but it was largely outdated. There was also a document prepared by German consultants from Hamburg in 2017, but it was focused on the onshore part of the terminal without consideration to vessels or infrastructure. It was more about port operation. So in spite of that, we had a lot of, as you know, a lot of recent guidelines for specialized terminals about container flows, dry bulk, liquid bulk, ferries, and cruise also, but nothing really suitable for multipurpose terminals. In multipurpose terminal, the key word here is flexibility. That is the possibility for the terminal to deal with different kinds of cargoes, different types of vessels, and also volumes according to the time. So our objective was to elaborate up-to-date technical design guidelines for multipurpose terminals. These terminals are often located in remote areas such as small islands and landlocked areas. So a few general aspects, as we said, the past documentation was largely outdated. And our working group consisted of engineers from Europe, France, Germany, Denmark, Belgium, Spain, UK also, from America, Latin America, Australia, Japan, Singapore. We lacked African engineers that time. And this is a nice picture of a multipurpose ship carrying containers and ro-ro vehicles as well. So we started, and you will see in the report, it starts to set the scene with collection and review of multi-purpose cases, which the team members had been involved in. So we had two of them in Spain, one in Praia, Cabo Verde. I think we have some colleagues from Cabo Verde online today. Another one in the Falklands Islands, not far from Argentina. Another multipurpose terminal in Cambodia. So one in Lutoka, Fiji, as we saw on the cover page, and two studies in PNG. And what we see from these case studies is that the flow of goods are all diverse, but quite modest. And usually no single type of cargo exceeding 1 million tons annually. And we also noticed that most of these terminals handle containers alongside smaller volumes of non-containerized general cargo. And also often reflecting an increase in the containerization of general cargo. So the volume of pure general cargo decreasing against the container volume. We also noticed that most of the vessels calling at the terminals are of medium size, rarely exceeding 30 to 40,000 tons. That the ship gear is widely used on multipurpose terminals, sometimes supplemented by mobile harbor cranes. We also noticed in the conclusion that many of these multipurpose terminals accommodate cruise vessels, but in some specific times of the year only. And the last point was about institution. These terminals are operated both by public operators and private operators. And we noticed that the private entities are often involved when there is container operation, because as you know, in the container segment, you have only a small amount of companies controlling the global markets. And this is a typical picture of a geared container ship with a capacity of about 1,000 TEUs and a draft of 9 meters. So then we have a general chapter, talking about characteristics and requirements. With first a definition, you have 1 or 2 pages of definition. So it's a terminal designed to accommodate a large range of cargoes and vessels. As a port terminal, it is not a port, it is a terminal. So it includes generally a berth, a yard, and fences, in the gate complex. So these terminals are often located in ports handling small cargo volumes, in developing countries, often in small islands, or also in landlocked areas. The water is usually shallow, usually less than 10-meter water depth. And we also notice that very often these terminals are found in regions that are not served by specialized cargo vessels, like global container lines, for instance. So as we said, the vessels are small, of handy size usually, and you can have sometimes specialized vessels or multipurpose vessels carrying a mix of containers and ro-ro vehicles. And what we should say as a first recommendation is to be very careful with the shipping part of the assessment. Specific marine traffic and analysis of ship call, projection of ship calls is essential at the early stage, and this must be made in cooperation with the future operator and the shipping lines who are likely to call at the terminal. So another picture of CONRO, the container ro-ro vessel. So usually these are not supposed to handle the containers by their own. They use mobile harbor crane usually. Then about cargo, as we said, the multipurpose terminals accommodate a large range of commodities, but in small volumes. The cargo handling equipment is usually minimal, because quite often the ships are equipped with their own cranes on multipurpose terminals, or if there is cargo handling equipment, it is easily removable from the apron. The picture that you see is a typical mobile harbor crane, which are very adequate on multipurpose terminals. The ship gear is often used, but the productivity is much lower than with a mobile arbor crane or even a standard key crane. Not more than 10 to 15 moves per hour with a ship gear. On the yard, we have a storage principle, which is to avoid uniform or rigid yard layouts, such as you can find on container terminals with square or rectangle blocks. On multipurpose terminal, you should prefer free of obstacle yards. Or when you have to divide into cargo blocks, prefer flexible block boundaries instead of fixed walls or fixed fences. Also avoid any sheds, but this is typical for all port terminals. No sheds, no warehouses close to the quay wall, because this is the apron which serves as a buffer between the shore and the ships. The quay wall has usually a low draft, less than 10 meters, which favors block wall or caisson structures instead of jetties. The fendering and mooring system have to be specific because they must cover a wide range. So usually the small vessel govern in terms of spacing and in terms of elevation also, because they have a small freeboard. And the top surface of the quay wall has to be always as simple as possible, avoiding any obstacles, any row ramp recesses, to be fully flexible. The connection to the hinterland is usually ensured by road, because the multipurpose terminals, they usually serve small territories which go with short connections. So the rail is quite rare. And if you have rail on multipurpose terminals, avoid having the rails coming to the berth, which is sometimes the case, especially in former USSR. You have rails everywhere on the ports, and having rails next to the berth is not adequate in terms of productivity. You have also something specific at the gates, which is usually a high proportion of small lorries, which reduces the flow through the gates, the flow of cargo, of course. In terms of safety and security, it is always more complex than a specialized terminal, because you may have conflicts of cargoes, and also limited terminal spaces. So the conflicts are quite often, and also the passengers traveling on the cruise ships sometimes have to walk through the terminals. So this complicates the design approach. Then in the report, you can find a chapter 4 on demand and development, talking about the market and the development phases of the terminal. The specificity on multipurpose terminal is that you will always expect a large range of cargo types and cargo volumes. So you have to break down the market into various commodities and to undertake the assessment for each of the various commodities. So you have also to consider the fluctuations over the year, which can be influenced by seasonal changes, for instance, in agriculture or in the fishing sector. And this makes the assessments more complex all the time. So it's a bit like for entire port, but you need to consider the fluctuation to avoid summing up all the annual requirements. You see, not to end up with a large multipurpose terminals if you don't need all the areas all the time. So the assessment is actually more complex than for a specialized terminal or for a whole port. because you have to share the same berth, you have to share the same yard and the same gate also. You may also face the issue of multiple port operators. It happens sometimes on the same berth, on the same yard, to have several operators, and then this is the worst situation. And then you have also to consider the development path, because through the life cycle, many ports begin as multipurpose at the early stage, and then they evolve into several specialized terminals with sometimes closure of the multipurpose terminal at the end. So all this has to be anticipated at the design stage. Then you will find a chapter about cargo types, which is quite standard, so we should be quick about this today. Because it's just a description of the various types of cargoes, general cargo, containers, dry bulk, liquid bulk, project cargo with big, heavy pieces sometimes. The only thing we want to underline is that on a multipurpose terminals, you often face conflicts. So, and this should be anticipated at the early design stages, especially conflicts with dry bulk, with gas, risk of air pollution, explosions. So the IMO regulation must be carefully checked. So you have also in the report a chapter about non-cargo related facilities, because as we said, the multipurpose terminals, they often have they often accommodate cruise vessels from time to time. It's usually it is never a port of home port, but a port of call. So the flows of passengers have to be nicely arranged and anticipated to avoid specific risks. And you have a specialized PIANC report about these types of terminals, but it is not exactly applicable to a multipurpose terminal. Also, some activities which can be found in multipurpose terminals. It's about emergency relief operations, like earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes. So because when the roads or bridges are disrupted, the ports usually carry on operating. And you have also on the picture, you have an example of a hospital ship being used in a port as an additional mean in case of relief operations. And the last point is also the use of multipurpose terminals for military purposes, which is usually based on ro-ro transfer, but involving higher loads, heavier loads. Then in the report, you will find a long chapter about terminal planning with first planning principles. So you have to consider, of course, a port master plan if it is available. This is the first thing to understand how the multipurpose terminal will be located inside the whole port. And you have to concentrate a lot after that on traffic forecasts, as we said. Traffic forecasts for cargo, for vessels, for passengers in case you need, and also through the gates. All broken down according to the various commodities and the time, usually up to 10 or 20 years. You have to consider also the physical constraints, the water depths, the obstacles onshore, and prepare requirement estimates then for the berth, for the depth, for the length of the berths, for the apron widths, for the yards, the buildings and warehouses, even if they are small and limited. And usually when you do that, you base your analysis on performance objectives in terms of waiting time, burst productivity, etc. But the specificity on multipurpose terminal is that you have to combine all the various commodities in one single terminal. And this is the what makes the exercise quite challenging. Then usually you will end up with a few layout options, and you will have to compare them before making a final choice. You can use a multi-criteria analysis system before you select the most suitable layout. And then at the end, you will design the terminal structures starting from the berth, then with the yard and very specific pavement, heavy-duty pavement usually, and also the floodlighting and other terminal utilities. And lastly, you will take care of the sheds, the warehouses, the silos, the buildings, and the workshops. The important thing is to remember that you should not only involve the port authorities, but the future operators, and possibly also the larger port community involving the pilots, the tug services, the freight forwarders, in order to consider all the needs. So usually on a multipurpose terminals, you will prefer to have one berth line, straight and simple, 1 yard rectangle, very simple design rules usually. And you can make use also of the recent PIANC guidelines about port master planning, which are very relevant for terminal planning. So the art of preparing a good multipurpose terminal lies actually in the ability to combine the different flows according to the time and space. And if you are at the concept design, or preliminary design, you can do it through your experience. But if you are at the detailed design stage, you may use a dynamic flow simulation to facilitate the planning process and minimize the requirements. You have some specific tools, software tools to do that. Now we have a couple of examples of multipurpose terminal design. This is a very simple one for a terminal in Kuching in Malaysia, involving container, dry bulk, passengers, and liquid bulk. So you see, it's quite simple, quite a simple layout with a straight line. No angle, of course, on the berth line for better flexibility. And you can also see that so the port basin is at the bottom of the page, and you can see that the buildings, they are all on the back side of the terminal next to the gate. Another example, which is quite the opposite, it's in Ireland, in Warren Point, where the multipurpose terminal is the result of a long process. So the design doesn't look as nice. It was not pre-planned. It's a result of a long-term evolution. The only point which is clear is that all the ro-ro traffic is separated from the rest of the port traffic. And there are some silos for dry bulk. So, and apart from these silos, most of the cargo are in the open air. Then you have also a chapter about vessels, which is actually making a link to the PIANC report 235 of 2022. You see with, you know it probably already, it's a very comprehensive PIANC report with a long Excel sheet by vessel types, which is very useful for a preliminary design. But if you come to the detailed design, you should talk to the future users and the shipping lines in order to use the specific ship data from the ships which will actually berth on the multipurpose terminal. So we said already that usually they are small of handy size. Most of them dedicated to specific cargoes, but some vessels multi-purpose. And a lot of RoRo vessels on MPTs, which can either use right-angled ramps at the stern of the ship, but then you need usually a special concrete ramp on the corner of the quay. This is quite complex actually for the terminal. The quarter ramps are more terminal friendly because they just drop on the quay wall top. But of course, it is not the designer who decides which type of ships will call. Huh? It comes from the shipping line, so you have to live with that. The only thing is not to forget any type of vessels which will use the multipurpose terminal. And many of the ships are fitted with their own cranes, so you should also know that in advance and anticipate. A few particular features that you have to consider also about the ships is the spacing of the fenders and bollards, which is usually governed by the small ships, because you need always at least two fenders to accommodate the ship. And you have to pay attention in case you have ferries to the belting system, which is usually present along the hull and can be very aggressive toward the berthing system. Also, big attention to score protection, because these type of vessels like ferries or tugboats, they don't use assistance, and they have thrusters which are very aggressive on the quay wall foundations. So again, you have specific PIANC reports about this type of design for the quay wall foundations. You have also to pay attention to the requirements for cold ironing, meaning that in terminals which are located near populated areas, it becomes more and more compulsory to have electrical connections on the quay to enable the ships to connect to the local power grid in order to turn off the ship engine during their call in the port. And this is extending more and more. It follows the IMO regulations, which is progressing at the moment. And at the moment, you have a large area around Europe, but other specific zones are adding year after year. And so one day it comes, and you have to anticipate this and consider the power connection in the design of the quay. Then you have a chapter about hanging equipment, and this is probably the most specific chapter of the report, because handling equipment is probably where you have more specificities about multipurpose terminals. So you have this table first, showing the different types of handling equipment you may use depending on the cargo type and the type of ship. And you can see that mobile arbor crane, like on this picture, are very popular actually on multipurpose terminals because you can use them on the apron, on the yard, and also next to the gates. The only point to me is that these mobile arbor cranes that you can find in, well, several European manufacturers, but not only in Europe, they are usually of rather large types, rather heavy capacities. Usually it's about minimum 50-60 tons, whereas you don't need that on a multipurpose terminals unless you have to carry project cargo. But I would say there is a lack probably of smaller mobile arbor cranes available on the market at the moment, and the manufacturers should be encouraged to develop smaller mobile arbor cranes, I think, because you don't need to handle 50 or 60 tons on a small terminal. So a few examples of typical handling equipment. These on the left, luffing jeep cranes, still quite popular, but they are mounted on rails, so you cannot remove them from the apron. This is in Baku, Newport, Azerbaijan. Mobile ship loader for grain on the right side. This picture was made in the Sea of Azov some time ago before the war in Berdiansk. Very flexible. You remove everything after the loading operation. A picture also of a specific system using containers to handle dry bulk. This can be very useful in containers accommodating mainly containers, and sometimes dry bulk. And then you have an example also of dry bulk unloading system that was prepared for the port of Praia some time ago. I don't know if it was implemented, honestly, but it was a system meant to be purely flexible and removable. So you see the conveyor is in a gallery under the pavement. So nothing making any obstacles after the operation is completed. So the handling rate is quite fast with mobile arbor cranes, usually about 15 to 20 moves per hour. It is less, of course, than a gantry crane. With a gantry crane, you can shift 30-40 moves per hour in peak, but 15 to 20 is much more than what you can achieve with ship gear. So on the yard itself, in the design, you have to pay attention to minimizing the yard occupation and to prioritize mobile multipurpose equipment. The lorries or better tractor trailers for container are preferable, and for non-containerized general cargo, you will often have to cope with lorries traveling on the road outside the port. And for dry bulk, you should avoid, as we saw on the example about Praia, you should avoid fixed conveyor systems unless you can shift everything on the side of the terminal, not to make any obstacles for the other cargos. So last picture about cargo handling equipment. You may also use dump trucks on multipurpose terminal. This is a picture I made in port of Poti in Georgia. It's quite a movable system for dry bulk. This is fertilizer in Poti. And the conclusion for the yard is that the tractor trailers and the reach takers are quite suitable for multipurpose terminals. For the yard to road handling, it is often the same equipment as on the yard, because quite often the truck carrying the cargo on the road, they are allowed to enter the port terminals. But if you are using trains, you will have to stop the train at the gate and to load the train with modern system like gantries, rail-mounted gantries. You may also use mobile arbor cranes or reach takers, quite efficient on the gates also. But always avoid letting the trains entering the terminals. And I have seen some examples where from a USSR where this was changed later because it was entailing too many troubles on the terminal operation. Then, coming to the end of the report, you have a long chapter about berth design, but I must say, which is repeating a lot of general design guidelines for berth design that you can find actually in other PIANC reports, but they are updated at least for end of 2025. What we say as a conclusion is that the type of berths for multipurpose terminals are preferably closed structure rather than jetties. But that pile-founded decks can also be quite suitable for multipurpose terminals if the soil is of poor quality or if you expect a future deepening of the berth. That, of course, you must consider the deepest expected vessels, the keel clearance, the score risk, and for the berth length, you have to consider the various expected ship calls, utilization rates, and again, this is more complex than for a specialized terminal because you have a large variety of ships. So for the preliminary stage, you can do it on a spreadsheet usually, but when you come to the detailed design, if you have the chance to use a dynamic simulation tool, you will always save on the berth length. But you need to have a good knowledge of the seasonal changes depending on the various types of cargoes, of course. So again, you may also make use of other PIANC reports, especially about master planning for existing ports or PIANC master planning guidelines for greenfield ports. Then you will find this big table in the report providing details on the berth of your orientation when you can select it, but very often the berth orientation is fixed. The berth location, if you have a choice to locate it a bit differently inside the port, but this is often not the case because quite often in your multipurpose terminal, the location is fixed and the berth orientation, even the berth length sometimes is fixed at the beginning of the design. Then a few words about the design loads combination. This is quite standard actually. I don't want to say anything more. Just about the fendering, that it has to be very specific because you have a wide range of vessels, and you have to prefer bollards accepting a lot of mooring lines. And also a small mention about small boats. You can use small bollards which are incorporated inside the fender panel. Then two last slides about covered storage. So as we said, most of the storage should be open on multipurpose terminals, but sometimes you are forced when you have bulk, for instance, dry bulk, which cannot be stored in the open air. You have to accommodate either in vertical silos or in warehouses with trucks and wheel loaders. You should pay attention to the pavement, which has to be very even and flat, and also specific items like ventilation and protection against fire. And the last one was a nice picture of Airbus ship. It is, as you know, it's between brackets. The Airbus planes are built from various locations in Europe, and all the pieces are carried to Toulouse in France, where they are where the airplanes are assembled. So there is a fleet of specific vessels like this one, bringing all the various places through the Atlantic and then through the Garonne River to Toulouse. Only the last 100 miles are done on the road. So about environment, safety, security, big attention to marine pollution. You have higher risk on multipurpose terminals. Also a big pressure at the moment to decarbonize and move toward green energy, which is a strong trend in the marine port industry at the moment. The World Bank is putting a strong effort on this topic, especially on many continents. About safety, it is also more touchy on multipurpose terminals, and security as well, because you have passengers going through the terminals. So you have to make specific risk assessment under ISPS codes. And the last point is that if you have a chance to use terminal operation system, even at the design stage, you can save also on the yard extent. So I think I will stop there, and I will be happy to take the questions. Thank you so much for your attention. The floor is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you very much for the presentation. Much appreciated. Quite insightful, and I must say, I did learn quite a few things. I didn't know you get multi-purpose ships. Quite unique, I must say. So no, quite unique. No, thank you for that. So colleagues, will
Sorry,
be moving on.
I was a bit too long. Sorry, apologies.
No. Perfect. No, look, we have at least what I normally do is I ask presenters that latest by for us now our time 17:30, so that we at least have a half an hour to discuss. No, that is perfect timing. What I'll be doing, Andre, is that let me then just launch, and colleagues, I've got two polls and two questions, very brief and simple. So let me just launch that. And then, that's just to get a feel from the attendees online, and just your views and opinion on certain aspects. And then we can then just discuss that towards the end, Andre. So the first question, let me launch it. It says that the biggest challenge for multipurpose terminals in your context. So just your views and opinions, or audits. Do you think it's space or land? Equipment, governance, concessions, or hinterland access? So if you can just submit your view, your answer. So that's the first question that I've launched. So if you can just give us your view on that. And then what I'll also do then, there's a second question that I'll launch. So let me just give it a 1 or 2 moments. I see now the answers coming in, so we can just touch base on those responses towards the end. The second one, so I'm going to launch the second one. The question goes, what needs to change most to enable flexibility under uncertainty? So is it better master planning, better asset maintenance, faster decision and procurement, or better data sharing? So just do share your views and opinion on that. What is it that you feel needs to change most to enable flexibility within the context of multipurpose terminals? So let's allow the colleagues to.
Okay.
So while you vote, so that's in the chat. You can vote in the chat on that one. So what we can then do now. So again, moving on to now the Q&A. So we do encourage you, colleagues, to put up your hand, ask your questions. We'll go to the chat as well. We have invited two colleagues to join us on the panel and answer some questions. I'm hoping you don't mind if I ask you to just introduce yourself. I see the first we've got Elsevier from Port of or Namport. So Elsevier, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself and tell us who you are? Maybe you can put on your camera as well if you don't mind.
Yes, good afternoon. It's Ahmed, eh?
That'll be fine, thanks.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone. Yeah, my name is Elsevier Gelderbloem and I head up port engineering at Namport. I'm based in the port of Walvis Bay, but we run basically the port of Walvis Bay and the port of Loudrecht. So the report really speaks to exactly what we do. Our biggest terminals here are multipurpose terminals.
Yeah. No, thanks, Elsevier. Well, while we have you online, let me then ask just your general view of the working group report, and just give us some insight, to anything similar you might have in Namibia.
Yeah, look, my view is the report is really insightful. As I read the report, I could relate to all of what was mentioned there. I did have a discussion with Professor Lichteren after I saw the report, in that there's something which we do in our multipurpose terminals which is not touched on at all in the report. And we're doing this already for more than 30 years, but it is becoming more of a, well, it's being handled more and more. This is oil and gas supply-based activities.
Yeah.
So I'm sure not all ports do this, but in Namibia, we have been doing exploration offshore for the last 30 years, and we had to accommodate these exploration activities. And to an extent, you could say that you could classify that as project cargo activities, but it is such a unique type of activity. It's really in a field of its own.
Yeah.
And that's what I noticed is not covered there. And it requires a whole almost special chapter on its own, how to accommodate that, because it comes with various other challenges, which we had to accommodate in both our ports. But then also some other minor things that I did not see in the report, which perhaps is something that's covered in other PIANC reports. But the world is moving towards paperless systems, and these days you get lots of special off-the-shelf almost terminal operating systems that are not just designed for container terminals but also for multi-purpose terminals. And some guidance in that regard would always be good. Everyone always, when you talk of terminal operating systems, you just talk of those who are used for containers. But those for multi-purpose terminals are just as important. Railways on the quayside. I note, Andre, you were talking about this. This is a big thing for us as well. It's always nice to have railways on the quayside, but it's something that eats your productivity up. But it's something that we also cannot sometimes do without. We import lots of locomotives and rolling stock, and these must often be offloaded directly onto rails. It's preferred, but it's not crucial, But so yeah. Surcharge loading at the back of the quay walls are always heavily underestimated by designers. What I found in my 23 or 24 years in the port is that as a designer, you are not there every day to police crane loadings. Outrigger pads are fitted, so you must always design for the worst. I've seen punching shear failures on mobile cranes not using the proper outriggers. That happens quite often. So you must that's always heavily underestimated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I said, for project cargo, there's always, we do a lot of project cargo. Port of Walvis Bay is used as a hub for importing project cargo for all of the landlocked countries around us. So whenever there's a new mine being built in Zambia or Botswana or or somewhere, these huge project cargoes like big transformers and huge pieces of cargo comes through the port, and they require special turning circles in the port. You know, there can be no height restrictions, and you know, they come with their own, you know, even the gates must be abnormally sized to accommodate this abnormal cargo. And yes, I could not agree more with the section on fixed gantries. We are now starting to remove and demolish very old fixed gantries and fixed rail-mounted ship loaders that's on the quayside, because they just they bring in inflexibility. So definitely there's a trend to move away from any fixed structures on the quayside.
Yep.
And deploying, for example, grasshopper conveyors with mobile ship loaders, but these ones often comes with reduced productivity. You cannot compare them with a fixed conveyor belt and fixed gantry. So there's always trade-offs.
Yeah.
But generally a very, very good report, very informative, especially in our setting here.
Thanks, Elsevier, and also thank you for giving us, insight into your own experience in Namibia. It's very insightful, and also you do raise quite a good few points that we can also unrelate on just to comment on. I know paperless is being one that is being looked at. I know we did touch on something similar when we looked at river information systems, where they're looking at it. So there's obviously 1 or 2 PIANC standards that covers that, but it'll be nice just to see that being pulled through to all the standards as well. So let's go on to the second person we invited. The second panel member, I think, is Jose. Jose, if you can just maybe correct me. If you can also just introduce yourself and give us some insight into Cabo Verde.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for the invitation. Let's say first of all, let me say that it's good for us to have this report and this webinar now, because we are preparing to launch a new master plan for the port of Praia. As you know, in Cape Verde we have 10 islands, we have 9 ports, small ports, and the biggest one in terms of cargo is the port of Praia, who is in the city of Praia, in the capital of the country, and Porto Grande in the island of São Vicente, who is the biggest one in terms of petroleum products. We import 95% of our consumption. Our traffic is essentially captive traffic for national consumption, okay? And the Port of Praia is working always as a hub in terms of national cargo to distribute to the other islands. We have around 1 million tons of cargo, but we have only 50,000 movements in terms of container. We had a huge investment for us in our level. We had an investment done in infrastructures. Last one in 2014. We concluded in 2014, and we have now around. You saw the picture, the slide that André show us in the beginning of the Port of Praia. That was the situation on that time, but now the situation is like I'm trying to show you our position now. This is the Port of Praia. I think you are looking. This is the Port of Praia now.
Okay.
We have more or less 1,130 meters of quay, but essentially we have 450 meters of quay here. This is the works that we done. We extend this pier and we enlarge all this area. It was very small for container traffic, and we protect. You saw another problem for us is that all the ports are open to the sea. We have to protect with breakwaters. And another thing is that we didn't succeed to privatize the port operation. ENAPOR, who is the port administration here, is the port authority in Cape Verde, is also doing all the operations inside the port. And what is the constraints that we have? We have now at the moment we can say that with the increasing of the infrastructures, the capacity of the ports, we had more bigger vessels coming. In the beginning, the freight rate goes down around 40%, what is good because we are most of the vessels are liners that comes from Europe. But we import a lot from grains from Argentina, from US, and also cement in bulk. As André said at the end, we have mobile equipment to discharge the cement. We have a lot we move from all the container yard to here. Let's say we use the pier here just for operation. And we move to because this is a hill, and we move for the top here. We have a lot of cargo coming from our immigration, and a lot of people coming to the port to get their cargo. That's why we move everything for here because we don't have land space here. All these must be get it from the shore. And we have 13 meters draft here. We can have this possibility, and we have 8 in the pier number 2. What we use essentially reach stakers and tractors and trailers to move all the containers from here to here. It's around 100 meters. But it's a lot, and there is a hill. We have to mount, let's say, 80 meters. It's a lot. What we are trying, we are receiving a lot of cruise ships, and this is the constraint because when we put cruise ships here, we have to put the container ships in the anchorage or the other vessels, and like this, we have to wait 1-2 days. And now we are receiving a lot of cruise ships. What we plan to do, our intention is launch a bid process for the new master plan before the end of the year. Having a master plan, and then our idea is to move to this area with a key that can go until minus 18-20 meters. And we have a lot of area to go because you saw this is a bay, very small, because you have these 2 points. Between these 2 points, we can develop until the middle here, and we can reach probably minus 20. I don't know if we need it in terms of traffic. Probably with a good operator, we can go there and profit all this as a pier later on. Okay, let's say if we protect here, we'll have a very big area to develop here, with big bay to develop here. And we'll have probably the cruise terminal in the small island here, a cruise terminal here. This is the first investment, of course, that we need because we are finding some ships waiting 1-2 days outside the port. If you want to have more information, you can send me an email or visit the site of ENAPOR, and you get a lot of information about our ports. And probably we'll send you our TDR, terms of reference of the master planning. If you want, feel free to give us some contribution. Okay.
Yeah. No, thanks. You're more than welcome to share it, and we can always share it with the audience if there's no problem with that. But thank you, and Jose, and gave us some very interesting insights into your port, and I mean you highlighted key issues such as the very tight constraints in terms of land, and you needing to move a bit further away just to get extra land. So I mean these are for an island nation specifically quite unique challenges that you're faced with. But thank you for that insight. So Andre, just coming back to you now, we have two unique views from an African system. Yeah, I know Jose quite closely. You have worked with him, and I've got Elsevier who you also highlighted quite a few unique aspects from Namibia's side, that oil and gas something that they look at, and then he also then highlighted the paperless system and a few things that could have been added into the working group report. But yeah, just your view around the two cases from Namibia and Cape Verde. Andre?
Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Mary.
No, thanks.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Taukia. About the oil and gas, this is correct. It is some weakness in the report. I think we just have a short mention about liquid bulk, saying that it is preferable to have all the pipes under the pavement or on the edge of the terminal, but we don't mention too much. We make reference to the specific report on PIANC report on design of oil and gas terminals, but it is correct that it should be incorporated probably more in the multipurpose design. I fully agree. I can also say that the storage for oil and gas should be, I would say, as far as possible from the rest of the terminal for safety reasons. But it is correct that the report is not as strong as it should be on this aspect.
Yeah.
I also appreciate very much the comment from Namibia regarding terminal operation system. At the moment, most terminal operation systems in the world are focused on container flows. And I don't think there is any real TOS for multipurpose terminals. I know that the firms who are developing dynamic simulation systems, they could do that, but usually they prepare the systems, the dynamic simulation systems for design purposes more. So there's so that's a very good idea for encouraging specific firms to develop TOS for multipurpose terminals. Yeah. What else from Cabo Verde? Praia, I know the port quite well because I was involved in the development, which has been shown by Jose on the picture. I agree that when we built that facility, it was now 15 years ago when the construction was completed, and at that time it was ample space for 10, 15 years, so it will soon come to congestion maybe. I agree there is a need for preparing future extension. But again, Praia is a very good example of nice multipurpose terminal.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Including oil and gas. Agree.
Yeah. No, thanks, Andre. No, thanks for that, your view and reflection on that. I see, Elsevier, your hand is up. Do you want to come through? Maybe on your point you had earlier. Please come through.
Yes, thanks. I mean, I just wanted to clarify, maybe I was a bit misunderstood. The oil and gas, it's not for downstream oil and gas. It's for upstream.
Okay.
So it's definitely not for any storage of petroleum products or gases, What we do is we've got oil and gas fields offshore. In fact, ours is in 3,000-meter water depth, so it's ultra deep oil fields that's now being explored and developed. And to support the oil rigs offshore that's doing the exploration drilling, but also when we're entering now the construction phase. So when you actually do the construction of the oil field on the seabed, you need what they call an oil and gas supply base. So basically a shore base in the port that supports those rigs out there, that supplies them with the drilling pipes, the drilling fluids, all the provisions, food, water, everything they need, you know, and that's a continuous daily activity. Even crew changes, everything, and that requires specialist activities in the port. And what we've realized is that it's rarely feasible to build greenfields dedicated terminals for this activity. So this often happens within multipurpose terminals. There are cases where they build specialized facilities, like in Aberdeen, Scotland, but you know, in other parts like here, it happens within the multipurpose terminals.
Together with that, Elsevier, would you not also want to look? I think because I know if I try and compare what we had at Port Mocha on our side, we found that not only it has become a supply, your terminal and your berth ends up becoming a repair facility as well. Because then these old rigs come in and you need to do quite a lot of refurbishment on them. So do you find the same on your side? That you also find that your multipurpose ends up becoming almost like a lack of a better word, a ship repair facility?
Yeah, no, we've had that. We've had oil rigs, and you're right, we have oil rigs coming to our multipurpose terminal that stays here for a month or two to go undergo major repairs. So it's something that causes havoc with your multipurpose operations, but it's also a good revenue earner for not just the port, but the town where it happens. So I know in Cape Town, there's a berth where you also do that. But here we haven't had an oil rig in port for quite some time. We've got, in fact, a jack-up barge in our fishing harbor currently, but offshore in our anchorage areas, we've got several oil rigs just parked there. So you're right. But we also have a dedicated ship repair area where we've got floating dry docks and a synchro facility. And we're also planning a graving dock.
No, interesting to show you just the other extent of what can happen at an MPT. So André, just maybe your views on that, if you can just maybe share your views on this newer insight.
Really, thank you to Elsevier for correcting. It is true that the PIANC report does not address this market share of oil and gas business. I'm afraid that it will probably involve heavy payloads on the quay and apron. So this is something quite specific to be considered. It looks like a little bit the numerous port development that we can see at the moment in Europe, America, but also Africa, regarding wind power generation, offshore wind power equipment, so which require usually a very heavy duty quay walls. Yes, that's correct.
And then sometimes
I know
you don't plan for these things. They just happen, at times, so it becomes even more challenging.
No, exactly. And you're absolutely right, André. We are now also accommodating renewable energy projects, their cargo that they need. And these huge wind turbine blades must come through the multipurpose terminal. And they have their own set of challenges. Just to give you an example, we've now busy modifying one of our multipurpose jetties into a quay wall and reclaiming land behind it, and we have to retrofit that jetty to create strong pads, at least 2 pads on the jetty to accommodate 500-ton crawler cranes that the oil and gas industry needs to load their special seabed structures onto barges. So these 40-ton per square meter deck loading needs to be accommodated by these pads. So these are the type of challenges that we face with, and they have to be done within the multipurpose terminal.
Yeah, and at the same time checking to make sure that your key wall is strong enough. We don't have to try and improve the structural, the structure of the key wall itself. So yeah, quite unique. Yeah. So colleagues, I've just put up a slide as well, as I mentioned earlier on, so just to for interest sake, we are looking to grow membership within PIANC, so I'm gonna just leave it up there for the audience just to have a look at. We want to try and change the picture within African PIANC, and as you can see now, right now Africa is still looking very blank. We want to color the spaces, so please do help us color the spaces by taking up membership or getting your colleagues within industry just to take up. So I'll leave that up there for now. So Andre, let's maybe go to the Q&A. I see there's some comments and questions in the chat, so I'll just go through one or two of them. I had some of my own notes I jotted down, but we can just come to them later. So Ahmed Saeed, let's start with his two comments. We'll take it together. So he had two comments here. It says from the shown case studies, on which basis such terminals were designed. And then the second one goes on to say, kindly advise on the utilities required for MPT and the appropriate approach for estimating the associated demand. So then you want to give us some insight on that, Andre?
Yes, let me see the first comment very well.
Yeah.
It's about the case studies and the question on what basis actually well.
I don't know if Ahmed Saeed, do you want to maybe come through also and just maybe comment on that? So let me just go to the chat. See Ahmed Saeed, I think it looks like he's left already. Okay, so
I think yes, I think in most of our case studies, the multipurpose terminals that we are presenting were not originally designed as multipurpose terminals. They were most of them. Most of them were prepared as general cargo terminals, and they were adapted step by step.
Yeah.
And there is one example in the report. It's about this Myanmar. Where is that? No, there is an example of a port terminal which is multipurpose terminal which is nicely designed as a multipurpose terminal in next to Singapore. I forgot the name. And but most of the case in our case studies they were not originally designed like this.
Yeah. So they accidental multipurpose terminals essentially. Yeah. Because I said, and there's a second comment that might be related to that by Prof. Van Eerden. He says, out of interest, which portions of current port infrastructure projects are greenfield versus upgrades to existing ports? So I guess that comment kind of ties in with what you said, that it's not specifically greenfield. They were just converted to multipurpose.
Yes, correct. We have much more brownfield these multipurpose terminals than greenfield ones.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but if you look at the report carefully, you will see that it is nicely developed to be suitable for greenfield multipurpose terminals as well, especially on the demand side.
Yeah. And I'm sure that obviously now it has an impact in terms of port performance and operational efficiencies and the like.
Yes, correct, and especially using dynamic simulation tools can be very helpful to optimize the length of the berth, the area of the yard, which is not very often the case at the moment. Using dynamic simulation tools.
Yeah.
But quite complex, and it can work only if there is a detailed assessment of the market and the seasonal fluctuations. which is
Yeah.
not that easy. But
No, I can
and
imagine it. Markets change
yes,
so quickly, and if you look at now the current wars that are going on and the closing of the Red Sea, I'm sure that also adds its own layer of complexity.
correct, fully correct.
Very
Mm-mm.
unexpected.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got about 5 minutes to go. So I think then maybe what we'll do, I had one or two questions. I'll hold on to them. So let's look at maybe tying up the session. So just going to now the polls we put out. So maybe just for your comment as well, Andre. The first question we asked was the biggest challenge when it comes to multipurpose terminals in your context. So the audience indicated that they had a 52% on space and land. And I think even if you look at now the example from Cape Verde, it's quite obvious that space and land will always be a challenge. The second question we had was need to change them, or what needs to change most to enable flexibility under uncertainty. And we have a 61% on better master planning. And then okay, better data sharing was the next one. But again, that also highlights what you just now shared, in terms of green fields and brown fields. It regardless, it still comes down to master planning. So yeah, just your views on those two polls by the audience.
Yes, about space and land, I would say that in many cases the use of space on the port terminals looks very sensitive in connection with the time the cargo spends on the port. And usually we still have too many port terminals where the cargo stays idle days and days and weeks sometimes. So the issue of space and land must be put in connection with the idle time on the port.
Yeah.
And it goes together with terminal operation systems and a better, smoother flow through the ports.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Then the better master planning, I
Yeah.
fully agree, and better approach on the demand traffic projections. That's probably a very, very sensitive topic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Like, I think it's lessons that key lessons that came out of today's discussion is that what the audience also felt quite strongly on as well. So as I look to close, I'm going to maybe call each of our panel members just to maybe share your closing views and what lessons can you leave with the people that's online. So let's start with Jose. If you can just share with us your closing comments and just maybe some lessons you want to leave with just important things that you want other engineers just to keep in mind when it comes to multi-purpose terminals. Jose?
Sorry, I didn't understand well your question.
No, I'm just saying now, just lessons learned or anything that you want to leave with the audience or the webinar today. So just share with us in closing your final lessons that you want or you feel is important for us to keep in mind.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, fine.
Okay. Anything you would want to share, Jose? Lessons learned?
Oh, okay, we in Cape Verde, the port is still multi-purpose until we invest, because we have this situation, but we do investment. The planning that we done on that time was financed by the ENAPORT, by our institution, but we discuss a lot with the US organization, Millennium Challenge Corporation, who recruit a special company just to discuss with us the investments to be done, because it's a partially donor that they give to Cape Verde due to good governance.
Yeah.
That's why we discuss a lot of huge specialists, because the port was very small, not protected. And now we increase a lot the dimension of the ship, the cost of transport to Cape Verde lower a lot. We have we increase efficiency in the port. the productivity increase a lot. We are doing around 23 movements with a ship's crane.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Because we don't have mobile cranes in the port.
Yeah. Yeah.
We use self-sustaining vessels, and we are doing good productivity. Of course, that we discuss with them some reforms in the port. We pass to pay the workers per productivity, per movement. And that's why we increase a lot our productivity in the ports, and we pay them also per ton.
Yeah.
That's the quality of life of these workers increase a lot, and also the port productivity and the productivity in the quay is very, very high. Of course, that we don't need to invest in terms of infrastructure immediately, but I think that in the next 5, we need immediately to invest in a specific terminal for cruise ships, but in terms of PR4 commercial movements, commercial cargo, probably in the next 5 years we will need to invest. That's why we are planning now. We are start to planning, and of course we want to profit for specific strategic position of Cape Verde in order to try to get some transshipment. If you are going to -15 or -20, of course, that
then
we
you can do
have the
that.
possibility.
No, exactly.
We have the possibility to get some transshipment.
Thanks.
Any kind of transshipment. We are very open to discuss.
Open to the sea, and you've got the deep water.
Okay.
No, thanks, Jose. Thank you very much. And I think what you highlighted is that the importance of performance, and I think especially in a small island nation as yourself, you've shown that your performance improves then the investment in the infrastructure, and not only that, improves the lives of the people who work in the port and the country as a whole. So thank you for that. Elsevier, let's maybe come to you and let's just hear your lessons learned you want to leave the webinar with.
Thanks. I think, I will not say much, but something I can leave with the members is that, at least in my view, planning and designing a container terminal or a dry bulk terminal or a liquid bulk terminal is fairly relatively easy. Planning and designing a multipurpose terminal is very difficult. It's because you have to design for the unforeseen. You have to design for a mix of cargoes, a mix of activities. So we tend to take a conservative design approach to try and design for the unforeseen. That's really what it all comes down to.
No, thanks. So as much as there is a flexibility and advantage of multipurpose, it does come with its own unique challenges at the same time. No, thanks for that, Elsevier. Andre, let's end off with you. So just your final lessons learned, and just maybe tying up with the comments from our colleagues at the other two ports.
Yes, thank you, Tauki. I would like to conclude by a very small point. I think that cargo handling is a key topic on the multipurpose terminals, and clearly the mobile harbor cranes are the most suitable tool, either for the apron or for the yard or for the gates. But to me, these mobile harbor cranes which are available at the market are too big. So there should be there should be a pressure from the port operators to push the manufacturer to develop smaller mobile harbor cranes, because they are big, they are powerful, and they are quite expensive still. So that was my last point. Thank you.
Maybe we can send them this recording of today's session. Hopefully it will kickstart something. So just a quick one, Andre. Can we share your presentation if there's any objections to that?
No, of course you can share.
Okay.
With pleasure.
No, I think I'm going to have to ask you to send it again, maybe in PDF. I had some challenges in downloading it, but we can discuss offline. So, colleagues, again, this comes to an end, to a very insightful PIANC Africa, conversation today and presentation. And I want to just, give out extend my sincere, gratitude to our speaker and panel members for sharing their insight and their knowledge and their wisdom. and for the openness in their dialogue as well. So thank you very much to that, and again to also our PIANC Africa committee members for their support in setting up this webinar. Thank you very much to everyone, and we hope that today's discussion was insightful to yourself, colleagues, and then it added some depth and value to your professional careers as well. We will have another webinar in 2 months' time. So we have these webinars every 2 months. The third Thursday of every 2 months. So keep an eye out for that same time. So yeah, we haven't identified the topic yet, but do keep an eye out for that. We will then send out an email, and then also through the LinkedIn and other forms of social media. We will then share that. So keep an eye out for that, please. And again, if you're not a PIANC member yet, we do encourage you to take up membership. There is free membership for students. So if you know of a student or your own local university that may be of interest to them, please just go to the website. There is a link there. You can share that link with them. So there is that free membership for students. It's a 2-year free membership. And then obviously with yourselves, we want to grow PIANC in African. So as you can see now on the screen, we want to change that picture. So please do help us change that picture. We did drop a link to an assessment form. So please do help us with that. It guides us to at least gauge if the value we're giving to you is of any value, or if you have any comments or suggestions, you're more than welcome to make them through that same form. Again, we do have then the WhatsApp group, like I mentioned early on. The link is in the chat. Please do join the WhatsApp group where we can continue with this engagement and discussion on that platform. So again, once more, thank you to everyone for making the time. And until next time, keep on learning, keep on exploring. This is PIANC Africa Webinars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening, colleagues. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.